Hello, everyone, to the Mantic
Hello.
Podcast. This is the Valentine's Day special. We thought about getting some candles, but then realised that we're in a room that's 90% foam. So
I think the other 10% is the spray adhesive as well, which is
yeah,
probably worse.
I also sprayed some varnish in here earlier and then realised that we haven't got an open window. So if we drop dead, that's why. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Hello.
How are you?
Busy?
Busy, tired.
Busy
Fridays aren't relaxed.
Almost, yeah, it is Friday. It is the end of the week. It is also lunchtime.
It is also, yeah, lunchtime is important. And we're here to talk about Abyssal Dwarfs.
Yes.
The angry evil dwarfs. And
yes. Was it naughty dwarfs?
Naughty dwarfs. And my sworn enemy as a full-time dwarf player.
So it should be.
And Night Stalker player now. They just keep popping out. Because there are new kids on the block. Not completely in lore, but with the nice new minis that we've been teasing.
Yes. They've got all the shiniest new kits and all of the stuff that we've learned over X amount of years making kits. Going, actually, this would be better if we did it like this.
And every time they've come in, like when those sprues arrived, everyone was like, "Ooh,
those aren't bad."
Because it's either your desk where people come by and they're like, "What's that, Dave? What's that?" And you're like,
Yeah.
Well, this
is the new Abyssal Dwarfs. Also, give it back. I need to actually start checking this. And, go.
But yeah, so we kind of wanted to figure out what a little bit of a backstory on the Abyssal Dwarfs for people that don't know, because everyone knows dwarfs, right? We live underground and we're the best faction in the world. And Night Stalker's creepy. We may chat about those in the future. But I guess the most important question is, what makes the Abyssal Dwarfs different than your regular old boys?
Starts with gold, because dwarfs love gold, don't they?
Oh yeah,
gold, precious jewels, all that sort of stuff. So the difference between the Abyssal Dwarf and the dwarf is the dwarfs are noble and they have restraint, and they know when basically anything they want they will earn off the sweat of their own backs.
Yeah.
The Abyssal Dwarfs have this sort of weakness where they are obsessed with gold to the point they will do anything to get it.
Okay.
Absolutely anything. And there's a little bit in the book about how this happens, but it starts with little things like shortchanging people on deals or possibly theft. But the point of no return is if an Abyssal Dwarf, or rather a dwarf, kills another dwarf for the sake of gold. That's the change. And that's sort of the big difference through the whole race between the dwarfs and the Abyssal Dwarfs is this lack of restraint.
Oh, okay.
So
little scam artists.
they start off as scam artists, but it just gets worse and worse and worse. And so some of them stay in dwarf society and form secret cults and meetings with hoods and things. But a lot of them will leave, and they will inevitably be drawn to the abyss. And it's the Abyssals are actually calling them in, which is why they gather around the abyss and they build their cities there. Ooh. So this was actually caused by the Wicked Ones. In the Gold War, one of them recognised that the dwarves had this weakness and it could be exposed, and so they put just the seeds of doubt in and left it there to fester. Over hundreds of years, you started getting more and more Abyssal Dwarfs, and it's this weird thing where the society's formed over a long time, but in the beginning they were all just random people in a place. They didn't actually do anything. It wasn't until some of them started having this. The apocalyptic vision, the idea of we could take over the world, and actually having enough sort of charisma to get everyone on board with it, and having enough, also being cruel enough to get rid of anybody who disagrees with you.
Okay.
And that's when you started to get them forming up into an actual threat.
So in terms of size, like compared to some of the others, are they a large faction, or
they're quite small? They are, in terms of numbers, they are really small. There aren't that many Abyssal Dwarfs. It's thought that they don't really reproduce. They aren't children. Okay. They only get new numbers from dwarfs turning traitor.
Okay.
And also, because of this, they bolster all their armies with loads and loads of slaves and mutants and constructs. So
all the creepy things.
And also, it's just this thing of workers beneath them. They don't want to get stuck in. They will leave everyone else to do that, and then they'll come in at the last second.
They delegate.
That's the way to do it. It's this whole superiority.
They're not the Abyssal Dwarfs, they're the delegation dwarfs.
Yes. But yeah, it's a lack of restraint is the big difference between the two. And you can see this also with things like the Ironcasters, because dwarves like building stuff. They make the cannons out of metal, they make all sorts of the war machines with metal and stone. That's what we make stuff out of. And then the Ironcasters are like, yeah, but we could go into other stuff. I mean, demons, they're pretty good.
We could dabble.
Flesh, you could use flesh. Let's just put stuff together. And souls, we can make things out of souls. So they'll use anything that is available to make whatever they particularly feel like. Experimentation is rare amongst dwarves, but Abyssal dwarves, everything's great.
They're not really held by any moral obligation. They can just sort of slap people together.
Yeah, exactly that, which is where you get all the things like the grotesques and the constructs and the hellfane. It was all just them doing mad things, and these are just the ones that are successful enough to make it into battle. A lot of them don't.
There's a lot of half dwarf and half something else that they found just lying on a floor, basically.
Yeah, and it lives for about 10 minutes because its anatomy makes no sense. But hey, we learned something new
today. So obviously they get pulled into the abyss, and so that's how you got like your half breed, the winged ones, and stuff like that, isn't it? So are they on good terms with the straight up abyssals, like, or is it still a kind of?
I think it's a bit of a cagey relationship.
Yeah.
They're both on the same side. They both roughly have the same goals, but they both want to be the ones in the limelight.
Okay.
So the Abyssals think they're the true children of the Abyss, and in a way they are, because they're actually sort of created from the gods themselves, but they're also just an extension of them. They don't think like people.
Yeah.
The Abyssal Dwarves are individuals, do actually think for themselves, but at the same time they're not made from the Abyss. Yeah. So, but what happened because of when the Green Lady flooded the Abyss at the end of the recent war, which is, I say recent, about 10 years ago in the fluff now.
Yeah.
The Abyssal Dwarves had to become the Abyss's proxies for a few years.
Oh, okay.
And so they've started really funding a lot of power and sort of having direct contact with them more often. Because none of the Abyssals could actually get out of the Abyss while the floodwaters were evaporating. So
they relied on them.
Yeah. So they actually became the Abyssal's actual proxies on this plane for a long time, and they're very good at that. They've been very useful for it, and yes, this is why they invaded the Halby Mountains and did really well, and this is why they've still got those.
Oh, so they're still holding on to them.
In fact, if anyone has got the map and compares it to the old map, the Abyss is much bigger now. There's more settlements around it. They're building a third city, because originally there were two cities, Zarak and Dew, at each end of the Abyss. They are now about like 2/3 of the way down in each way, so it's carried on going past that, and there's a third city being built as well.
And do you reckon that's going to continue to grow, or is there anyone that's really going to push back a lot?
I couldn't say. I'm not even sure. No one's really sure how the Abyss keeps growing. Yeah. I mean, it's not a chasm. It's a wound more than anything.
Oh, okay.
It's a gap. It's not a hole in the rock.
Yeah.
It's a hole in the universe that just happens to be in rock.
It's the best kind of hole in the entire universe.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's much bigger on the inside if you actually go into the chasms and the circles of the Abyss, which are all hellfire and things.
Yeah.
The Abyssal Dwarfs tend to stay around on top, but they do tend to throw people in as sacrifices. Which there's actually a picture in the book, which I might be able to find quickly.
Well, you'll find that. If you're watching this live...
This is page 180 of the hardback.
Oh,
that is the gift piers of Zarak. And they're these huge stone, bridges for people watching, which stop quite suddenly, and then there's people just being led off and thrown into what's beneath the
just looks like a lot of fire.
Yeah, and it's probably best not to wonder what happens to them. Yeah. They're lucky they're killed by the fall, I think.
You never know. There might be a cocktail bar down there. We just don't know.
No. There's a lot of things down there.
That's what the dwarfs tell each other at night. They're like, no, it's fine.
It's fine. There's a cocktail bar.
Yeah, you just get dropped down, and then you got pina coladas. It's all grand. And so they use the similar, like the actual Abyssal dwarves themselves. They seem to use similar stuff to the dwarves themselves. So like the gunpowder and
they know the way around black powder. They're good with mortars. They like mortars because it means they don't really need to look at the things they're killing that much. They tend to like short range firearms, so they've got blunderbusses because they're very nasty if you catch someone up close with them. They field swords. Instead of hammers and axes, they do have hammers and axes. One of the weird things we've done on the sprue is they've got like 3 swords, a hammer, and an axe because that's just to spread them off from the dwarves a bit more. And the one of the other little tiny details, I'm going to go on about the sprue for a second.
That's absolutely fine.
is most of the shields are round, and it's because the free dwarfs, which was where the abyssal dwarfs originally would have come from, have round shields.
Oh, okay.
So most of the shields are round because they're probably the same people.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So, in your geography, you've got the free dwarfs live in the Halpi Mountains, which is just south of the abyss.
Okay.
And so the first abyssal dwarfs were the ones who camped right near the top, and so they've just got the abyssals whispering in their ear all the time. It's like, oh, we'll just go a bit deeper; it'll be fine.
So it's another little fun, almost piece of fluff, but it's on the sprue kind of.
Yeah,
that's interesting because I didn't know that. I'm a complete lore noob, and I'm the one that's like, well, why's your dwarf got that? It's like, thought it looked cool, but that's fine.
I mean, that's a good reason too. Another little bit of fun on the sprue is that, of course, they're famous for their fancy hats.
Oh yes,
and this is every single abyssal dwarf thinks he is the best that has ever existed, and so they're all trying to show off how rich they are by having
biggest hat,
the shiniest armor, fancy hat with fancy runes on the top. And so it's also, so they have all different kinds of armor, the shields are all different designs, the weapons are all different designs to push the fact that these are individuals. They're not a fighting unit, they are individuals, which is funny because the Immortal Guard are now sort of left where everybody's actually quite similar, but that makes sense because the Immortal Guard are more, they've had their souls taken away. They're more like golems than anything else now.
So the Immortal Guard, what are they? They've been, you said about their souls being taken away.
Yeah, so they are. They have basically agreed to do something called a ritual of binding, where they're bound to the service of like the Dwarf House or an Ironcaster or something like that.
Okay.
And in return, they're immortal. Yes, they actually do live forever.
Pretty good perk.
They are relatively impervious to harm. They can even be sort of put back together, but their bodies are destroyed. They're basically just suits of armor.
Yeah.
And they don't have a soul. They're just automatons almost. But there's a bit left. It's a bit weird with them. But yes, the interesting thing though is this makes them quite loyal as abyssal dwarves because they don't really want to do anything other than fight. So, and it also means that they are very good at fighting in formations. They're very regimented, which is why they get slightly better stats in the game. But also they now look similar because they fight as a unit. And the abyssal dwarves, it's like they fight as a regiment for an hour.
We're getting caved in.
Good.
For anyone listening at home, the back banner, which,
there was a clunk, and then the whole thing just went
forward
a bit.
So the Immortals.
So the Immortal Guard. So yes, the Abyssal Dwarf Immortal Guard fight as a regimented unit.
Yeah.
And very efficient at working as a group. But the regiments of Black Souls, the core troops of the Abyssal Dwarfs, are actually just that regiment lasts for about the battle and that's it. They'll agree to fight as a group in the battle, but after that they all go back to petty squabbles and worrying and trying to one up each other constantly.
For anyone watching, this must be the most exciting.
The banner has collapsed slightly.
I'm just taking this bad boy down. So amongst, they have like the half-breeds.
Yeah.
What else? We're starting to introduce a few more of the fun things.
Yeah, that was one of the fun things when we had with designing the new models was the constructs. At the moment, or when we were designing them rather, it was you just had. Wait, I'll let that go down.
Yeah. Cool. Fixed it.
So when we were designing new models, the only constructs we had were the lesser golems and the greater golems, and they're all sort of human shapes. And so one of the funny things we tried to do was They don't have to be. They can be any shape.
Yeah.
So the hex caster's like an insect sort of thing.
Which we showed a little bit off in the videos.
Yeah, on the Mantic website, you can find it. And then the I've forgotten what it's called now. Hellfane.
Yep.
Sort of Hellfane. I'll explain in a second. But the thing that carries the Hellfane is probably the way to put it.
Okay.
Is sort of rhino shaped.
Yeah.
Which also means there's probably something like a rhino in Mantica somewhere. I've never thought where it will be or what it will look like, but it's a rhino shaped thing. So it doesn't have to be human shaped.
Yeah.
Like my point about that was the Hellfane is the thing on the top.
Oh, okay.
The rhino itself is just there to get it into battle. The Hellfane is the machine on the top that pulls power from the abyss and channels it into dwarves.
Oh,
no one else, because imagine you've got thousands of orcs ahead of you. They're all your slaves, and then you pump lots of abyssal energy into them, and then they're supercharged.
Abyssal orc.
What if they disagree with us now? So they're very jealously, they want all the power for themselves.
Which is still very on point for them.
And then you've got the grotesques, which is again just because the half-breeds are very successful because they live for a long time compared to other ones, and they're sort of this. They've found a shape that works.
Yeah.
The grotesques last a battle.
Okay.
The champions last a few battles.
It's like
maybe?
a disposable army.
yeah. They just, and it's not it's not that they're killed. It's that they die. They just their bodies aren't made to make sense. So, and you look at them, they nonsensical anatomies, but it's an Ironcaster's gone. Why does everything have to have an even number of legs? do you really need hands? I mean, I think swords would be better than hands.
You sort of push them in that
these
direction.
always go forwards. Let's see what happens if we change that. And it's just that somebody who's got absolutely no moral qualms about experimenting, just going, what if we mess with things? What happens? And so the grotesques are showing that again, half-breeds don't have to make sense in any way, shape, or form.
If it kills something before disintegrating itself, then it's
a
win.
That's it. It's just like, I made this thing. I don't know what it's going to do yet, but let's just forward. Let's go.
I like the sound because it is just the case of we've got a rhino-looking thing, and I guess we'll slap it together with this, and then it can carry all of our stuff.
Yeah, we were joking the other day about you take the shrine off that thing and put something else on the top. So what else could you put there?
Yeah. When you first brought it in, I was just kind of just putting stuff on it like,
it fits. Cool. It fits.
Everything's a steel behemoth to me.
Yes,
everything's a steel behemoth.
I will see a steel behemoth made out of grotesques.
Give me a week.
Give me a week and like 10.
And a can of spray paint. It's pretty much what's happened.
Yeah. There you go. And suddenly you're an Ironcaster.
Suddenly, that's pretty much what it's felt like assembling Night Stalkers.
Yeah.
Was just like, where's this arm go? Doesn't matter. Slap it.
Yeah, they don't have to make sense. Night Stalkers' anatomies are weird because they don't need to have a body.
Yeah.
So they just sort of make one, but it doesn't necessarily need to match any of the rules of how bodies work. So sure, it walks on knives for feet and
that's fine.
Has no eyes, but it can see you. Nobody knows.
Which mouth does it need? Yes.
I remember the silly thing is like most of the range has no eyes except for the Mind Screech, which has all of them.
Yeah.
Has every eye and possibly a few more besides that.
I think Night Stalkers and Abyssal Dwarfs get along.
Yeah. In fact, I think somebody did ask this once, was how do like the Abyssals and the Abyssal Dwarfs view Night Stalkers, and the answer is they kind of think they're stupid. They're just sort of, they're humans, but they're not even humans anymore, so they're just like,
well, Night Stalkers,
what a waste. What a waste of space.
They're just like, we're just going to just take over you all, and why? I don't know, we want to take you all over.
Yeah.
So it's there's kind of a scary, there's zero logic to them, which is sometimes a bit more terrifying.
Yes.
Why do you want us? Land? No, we don't care about that.
Don't want the land, just want you.
Yeah. So to touch Hellfate, obviously on the things coming out for Vanguard, we have the Hex Caster,
which is the little beetle thing with a rune floating above it.
Yeah. So I mean, just judging by, because obviously I had a quick little peruse for the video, they seem to be all about stealing power. Which is terrifying as someone that loves their power dice in Vanguard. And so that seems to come from their lore, just like they're using the energy and using the abyss. So it's
and stealing things.
And
they don't
stealing
want to work to get the things. They will take the things off everyone else.
You want that power dice? Well, how about I take it and give you nothing? It is very
yeah. And there's a nice little bit of fluff on the Hexcaster, which is the Ironcasters, of course, created these to sap energy away from enemies, but also it can be used on friendly people as well. and so it's just, you send it out with the Overmaster. The Overmaster's having a great time, and then suddenly he finds that his armor stops working. And it's
God.
oh yeah, that's I mean, and the Ironcaster, I didn't kill him. Look, he lost in combat against someone else.
It's not my fault.
My guy happened to be near him at the time, and it's just they will all be trying to one up each other. They will all be trying to backstab each other. They all know that they're trying to backstab each other, which is what makes it. What is the only thing that sort of holds them back.
Yeah, if they all learn to get along, they'd be a little bit unstoppable.
Which is what happens sometimes. There's one dwarf who'll actually manage to get them all to go in the same direction.
Okay.
And he's only able to hold on to his power because he's utterly ruthless. The one at the moment, I think, is called Xerxes. He's called the Overking. And he led the invasion into Halpi. He took the mountains. And he's still in charge at the moment, which is an achievement.
Still going strong.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. At any time, there'll be a load of people saying that they're the Overking. But the Abyssal Dwarfs will know who it is when they see him.
Yeah. Everyone says they're the Overking until he turns up. It's
yes.
Like, he's behind you, mate. He's behind you. Shut up.
Yes.
Big stomping boots.
Yeah.
So, they sound like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And everyone that I've talked to, especially when they've seen the sprue, and I'm sure when people visit for the open day, and those that are, because we're taking along the fully painted, absolutely amazing paintwork to Adepticon. So I think when people see those, everyone's going to suddenly become a lifelong Abyssal Dwarf player.
Yeah, it's the problem you get when you're working here. It's like, hey, look, this is the best. We were joking that the Northern Alliance kit, the Clansman, is the best plastic kit we've ever done.
Yeah,
and then we start doing Abyssal Dwarfs, and it's like, well, it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
Then they're the best.
Yeah,
and of course, we're working on more stuff.
After the road to Kings of War, which if you haven't seen it, check out the videos because everyone's just having a laugh on that. After everyone's first army, we kind of asked, what are you thinking about building? And everyone was either Northern Alliance or Abyssal Dwarfs. The people that knew the Abyssal Dwarfs were coming out were like, Abyssal Dwarfs.
Abyssal Dwarfs. Oh yeah, they get cool stuff.
But then everyone else was Northern Alliance, especially because we sit close to Duncan, and when he suddenly produces another load of clansmen, it's like, oh, they're so pretty. I really want to.
It's definitely not a perk of working in the studio. We get test shots, which is so they've cut the mold for the plastic out of steel. Yeah. And then they run it for the first time, and they send it to us, and we go, that guy's got no face. We get some weird ones. Once somebody had a satchel inside a pistol, and nobody could work out why they'd done that. The Abyssal Dwarfs, this is probably a lot of fun thing to share, but the Abyssal Dwarfs, the issue they had, some of their heads were shrunk accidentally. So we went through, and they went, yes, those have been scaled down by X%, and we'll fix it. So we retooled the heads to be the right size, and it was a strange world for a moment.
We're gonna have to build an army with all these like weird versions of them that we have. So we're gonna have an army of tiny-headed Abyssal Dwarfs.
Yeah, and then that was the other fun one. Before we do the test shots, we have the sculpts. We get it 3D printed, and it's all good looking at stuff on the screen, but until you get 3D printed, you don't really know certain things. And one of them is we got them printed. It's like, these are too big. These are massive. They are about the same height as a Klansman.
Oh my god! So juiced up.
They were huge, and I was like, firstly, that's not to scale with any dwarf. Secondly, these will never rank up in a million years. And so I went, right, okay, I need a digital sculpted dwarf. Got a shield breaker from Vanguard, the great swingy hammer dude. Went, right, this guy's standing more or less upright. Scale everyone to match him.
Yeah.
Did that. Right, they fit now. Do they rank up? Yeah, they get a bit shoulder bargy sometimes, but you put a shield first.
They've got to look like a solid unit.
Everyone multi-bases anyway nowadays, so.
Yeah, because we get the question a lot when I get the miniatures to take a photo of for the blog or whatever, I space them out because, you know, aesthetic. You gotta have that aesthetic.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. And then we do get the question a lot is, well, do they rank up? And it always gets tested when we get them brought in.
The one we get our sculptor to send us renders of them ranking up together, front and back and left and right.
So even before they come, they're already getting tested.
And then I build them
and
try to rank them up, because of course the studio models have to come from somewhere. So I build usually the 3D prints, we get them sent off for painting early, and then we'll get another set of plastic ones sent off for painting afterwards as well. So
your desk is a treasure trove usually. It's like,
you say treasure trove. There's my desk is a treasure trove, but there's loads of bits there that were rejected, sometimes for good reasons.
So, they're always really fun though. So
yeah, that's part of the joys of just working with the stuff that far in advance.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a quick rundown of stuff on the store off the top of my head. Right.
That's fine.
Booster. Let's see if I can remember this, because I remember putting these together. Hexcaster.
Yep.
Charnox, which is the less obsidian golem with a gun. Its
the
arms
big
are facing
magma
with
cannon.
a huge magma cannon. And Immortal Guardian, who is an Immortal Guard champion, so you put him at the front of your units if you're fielding for Kings of War. And he's got a big swishy cape and a halberd and a nice skull mask thing going on. The starter set, can't recommend this enough. If you're going to do an Abyssal Dwarf army, grab the starter set, because it has 10 of the new troops with 2 of the new mastiffs, which I didn't scale down, so they're just massive.
They are big chunkers.
They're huge dogs. They're actually the same scale as they were originally. I like this. Keep it.
I'm already stealing a few.
Keep these. And you get the new Overmaster, which has been basically resculpted with all the fancy stuff we know now, including the cables on his back are made out of spines. And yes, he is standing on stilts. If you look at the back of his legs, you can see the boots where they actually lie on top, and then you also get the mobile Katsukan.
Yeah, the bigger, it's almost like a big.
It's a rocket launcher you can take on your. It's a decimators. Yeah, the Spoon makes Black Souls or Decimators. We're also going to be doing a set of 2-handed weapons in metal, because we just couldn't fit them on the sprue. They're 2 pieces. They go together really easily. I know, because I've built 20 of them.
There we go. So straight. I mean, if anyone's going to know, it's you. So
yeah.
And so you can pre-order them on the website. All those beautiful things. If you want to see more pictures, check them out as well.
And then we've got individual sets, armies, mega armies, grotesques, Hellfane. The Hellfane is massive. I was about to do a size thing with my hand, and then remembered this is going to be audio. The Hellfane is as small as we could possibly make it, while still fitting 3 dwarfs on top.
Well, the video, I know I'm doing the video next week, so you heard it here first, that it's getting produced. So you're going to see just how much of an absolute tank it is.
Hang on. We worked this out the other day, because we started producing it for the first time not that long ago. So we've got cast in resin, we've got the masters done. It's 0.5 kilogram of resin.
Yeah, it was you that showed me. We went into the casting room, and you're like, pick this up. I was like, do I need to squat for it? Like,
it's the whole set is 0.5 kilogram of resin. And I here's one more fun tidbit of studio nuts. When we made it originally, it was being digitally sculpted. You get it 3D printed to check the scale. We sent it to the printers, and they went, this is. I don't think we can print this. Are you sure? And so we actually went, can you just give me like the rough measurements of it to the sculptor? And he comes back and he goes, it's 18 centimetres tall. That's as tall as a Kings of War giant. And so we went, okay, we're going to need to shrink this.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
I mean, if you have a 3D printer, it will cost an absolute fortune to print. So we shrunk it to the smallest possible size to carry the dwarfs, because of course when you get it's huge, it's great, we'll love it. And now it's a quite a nice size. It's actually sort of practical, but still is huge. And the fun bit, there's an Overmaster on top. Originally we were just going to have it so you put an Overmaster on top, but it was in the concept art, And the sculptor went, "Hey, I made this too." It's like, great, put it in the kit.
We love it. Going the extra mile there.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So they're all available, and if you're listening to this live, although I think the Valentine's
Ooh, we have some questions.
We got a few shout-outs from
not
that
questions,
now.
just hello.
Hellos and
hi.
So these are the comments. So if you're listening live, we do the live version on Fridays at 12 o'clock UK time, and then this goes out as a podcast on Monday whenever I've had a coffee, basically. There's no real strict timeline on that. So that's available on Spotify. I'm getting up on Google Play, and if you need it on a certain provider, just let me know, because it's the easiest thing in the world, obviously.
Yeah. Reply to the video or something like that.
Yeah. And also, if you enjoyed this, let us know what other factions you're interested in, to hear about lore and stuff, because it's dead interesting for me, actually, because I know nothing.
Yeah, or kits as well, because of course I can tell you almost anything.
Yeah, you are.
But anything that's being produced at the moment.
You're an absolute vault of knowledge. It's ridiculous. You're the person I turn around and go, "Hey, Dave, what's this?"
Everyone does that now.
Yeah. And also the Valentine's Day sale. Check that out, because that'll be going up. I'm giving you a little forewarning there, a little insight that was happening, and check out the video. Don't judge me. It was certainly a brief. And hope you enjoyed. Thanks again, Dave. You've been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And again, leave suggestions in the comments on the YouTube version, and we'll see you next time.
Ooh. Before we just quit off, I'm going to ruin your cuts now.
That's absolutely fine.
I heard a rumour about new goblins. Would like to see those.
You got in there, Dave, didn't you?
Well, we did tease them on the blog.
Yeah.
When they're out, or when it's close to them coming out, I will come and rant crazy about goblins, because I love goblins, and so does Rob. Rob wants to steal the sprues when they come in for the first time, which is not too far away now.
He's sort of rubbing shoulders with casting, like, "Hey, when do they go out? You got any miscasts there?" No.
Yeah. So close to the time, we'll do something on goblins.
But thanks for the suggestion, Dave. Alrighty, ho. Have a good day. Have a great Valentine's Day, and have a lovely weekend. Ciao.